Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Cochi? Mezak? Here. Janutus?
Here.
Fluharty?
Here.
Saunders?
Here.
Rhodes? Here. Spinks? Here.
Council, you have the minutes of the work session of November 19th, 2018. Any corrections to that? Seeing none, can I have a motion for acceptance by Mezak, second by Saunders? Call the roll, please.
Cochi?
Here. Yes.
Mezak? Yes. Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes? Yes. Spinks? Yes.
And you have the minutes of the regular meeting of November 19, 2018. Any corrections, changes to that? Seeing none, can I have a motion for acceptance by Janutus, second by Spinks? Call the roll.
Cochi?
Yes.
Mezak? Yes. Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes? Yes. Spinks? Yes.
And you have the minutes of the budget work session of November 26, 2018. Any corrections to that one? Seeing none, motion for acceptance by Mezak, second by Rhodes. Call the roll.
Cochi?
Yes.
Mezak? Yes. Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes? Yes. Spinks? Yes.
And then comes to our favorite part of the meeting where we do presentations. And first I'm going to start off with the, what do I have first? The Eagles. Get around here. The Eagles and then the Eagles. And I could have the members of the Eagles come forward. You got all the big shots here. We can just kind of line up here. I'm not going to swear you in or anything. But most of you know that the Eagles Club does a lot for our safety forces and other organizations around town, like the Historical Society and stuff. And they've been giving us a lot of money over the years that the departments get to use for various things that we can't buy from tax money and stuff like that. And it's really helped. Exercise equipment, all kind of good things. I know the police have bought other equipment, but we go there every year. They have a nice dinner for us. They present us with checks, and we appreciate it so much. And I thought it's about time we said thank you to them officially. Let me read this, and you'll see why we need to thank them. Whereas the City of Bedford wishes to express recognition and appreciation to Bedford Eagles, Area 2122, for their many generous monetary donations over the years to the City of Bedford Police and Fire Departments. And whereas Bedford Eagles, Area 2122, has donated for 25 plus years over $400,000. See what I mean? Yeah. To the City of Bedford Police and Fire Departments. And whereas the area's donations to the police department allowed the purchase of a 2011 Harley-Davidson Police Electric Glide for the motorcycle unit, gym equipment, laptop computers for police vehicles, break room remodeling, tasers, ballistic shield for police officers, property room improvements, web check system for fingerprinting, computerized voice stress analyzer for the Detective Bureau, automated external defibrillators, and crime prevention supplies. And whereas Bedford Eagles donations to the fire department allowed the purchase of treadmill, weights, weight machines, firefighter cancer detox unit, and squad jackets. Now therefore, I, Stan Cochi, Mayor of the City of Bedford, on behalf of the City Council and citizens of Bedford, do hereby extend this expression of sincere recognition and appreciation to Bedford Areas 2122. Thank you so much. And come up here? It wasn't planned, but since you're here, I know you've got something to say to these good folks too. I know we say it at the dinner, but I wanted to get it on the public record for all the stuff that they do for us. It's tremendous.
Yeah, I just want to echo the mayor's comments. You guys are a wonderful organization, and we can't thank you guys enough. Donations go a long way, and we really appreciate all the support and the great relationship we have with you guys.
I'm just going to pile on what Chief Stemple said. We really do appreciate it. And you know, this past year we've been able to purchase a very expensive piece of equipment that will address the #1 killer of firefighters in the country, and that's cancer. And so not only are you touching the fire department in the city, you're touching the extended families as well. And we can't thank you enough for the ability to allow us to purchase that, so thank you.
We're proud to do it.
Thank you so much again. And now from the Eagles, we'll go to an Eagle. We have our Eagle Scout come up here. Yeah, bring your family up. Oh, picture time? Okay. This is pretty awesome. I really enjoy it, and I've done a number of Eagle Scouts over the years, and it's quite an accomplishment what these guys do to earn this award, and not a lot of Scouts do it. But some of the big names that have done reached Eagle Scout include many of our presidents, CEOs of major corporations, people that have done a lot of good for the country, and they had a solid foundation by becoming an Eagle Scout. So you're in pretty select company there, young man, and we're proud of you achieving that, and I'm sure your family's just a little bit proud too. Let me read this to you. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America is a vital force in the development of our youth through its many programs which encourage the ability of its members to do things for themselves and especially for others. And whereas one of the major objectives in the Scouting program is to develop citizenship through community involvement in addition to working for citizenship merit badges. Scouts are encouraged to participate in community service projects. And whereas Thomas Cashman is a member of Troop 399 and has not only proven himself to be an outstanding member of the Boy Scouts of America, but has attained the highest honor bestowed on a Scout, the Eagle Scout Award. Whereas the Eagle
Next year too, so that's always a good sign. I'll bring my usual yearly snow discussion up. Please do not park on the street in the morning, especially when there's a snow emergency declared for that day later on. Last week, 2 of the days especially, people were parked on the street and it snowed like you wouldn't believe, especially Monday night when we left council, the budget work session. There were cars parked on the street and you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you, let alone a parked car on the street. So we got to use a little bit of common sense here. Don't park on the street if it's going to snow or there's a potential for heavy snow. So, and I would hope that we put that at least maybe in our January newsletter that goes out in the water bills, especially since that's the month that we usually get the most, that in February. But people just don't seem to have any common sense anymore, so to some degree. But that's a safety emergency, especially if you've got emergency vehicles that have to get through a neighborhood. Not to mention the fact garbage trucks can't get up and down the streets either on certain days of the week. And lastly, Saturday early evening, the various service organizations will be presenting the award of Citizen of the Year this year. After Christmas in Bedford Falls, it'll be up at Ellenwood, and our recipient this year happens to be in the audience, Barb McDaniels. So she has done a lot for the community. I've known her since I was a real little kid. She's always been involved in something or another, and she's well deserved in getting that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Rhodes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who came out for Small Business Saturday. It was our first, really put together event for the Bedford Downtown Alliance, and we appreciate all the support. I would also like to remind you that Small Business Saturday is not the only day you can shop downtown. You're more than welcome to go down there anytime and peruse the shops and go to the restaurants and bars. And we hope that you'll make that decision over the coming year. Christmas in Bedford Falls is this Saturday. I'd like to remind everyone that the Bedford Garden Club will be selling bean soup, which is very tasty and delicious, as well as honey, which is from a local supplier, which is good for allergies if anybody out there has any. I'd also like to let you know that the Bedford Garden Club is currently doing some fundraising for the Dunham House. We have a GoFundMe page set up, and you can also donate in person. The project actually has been completed at this point in time. We put it on a credit card. So we would like to get some help with paying for that project. We actually have raised about $1,200 so far. Our goal is $5,000. Right now, if you donate to this project, we have an anonymous donor who will be matching our funds 50-50. Plus, we also are getting funds from the grant that the city has been putting out for the Broadway corridor. And I believe that's all for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mrs. Spinks.
Thank you again to the Eagles. Y'all do so much for our city, and we appreciate that. Donna, you know how I feel about Meals on Wheels and the remark that he made. That is some of the only contact, and that's the most gratifying thing of doing that, of being a volunteer, is sometimes these people, when you deliver the milk, that's the only person that they see all day long, and that might be the only meal. So a lot of us volunteers go beyond in like different holidays and stuff. I know for Halloween, we just think that's just, kind of a hokey little thing. Well, I got candy and made sure that my route had stuff, and it was just, you would have thought I gave them $1 million and I gave them a candy bar, and you would have thought that was just. But what Donna didn't tell y'all, at Christmas time, all the volunteers, we get together, and each and every one of our clients, they receive a little Christmas gift, and we all get together, and there's baked goods in there, there's socks, there's lotions, and I mean, it's it's a nice thing, and it lights up it makes your whole year by being able to do that. And Donna, I just thank you so much for being a part of that and kind of spearheading this. And Betsy Lee, who's our president of the historical, Betsy's there, and she gets the meals out and everything, make sure they're hot, and all the volunteers. And I thank my husband for sometimes when I can't make it, except when I left the thing on the refrigerator and he forgot to make it and I was out of town. Yeah, he's in trouble. But it is, if you have a chance to ever volunteer, or if you can just drive to be a sub every once in a while, that's where we need, because some of us that do it all the time, we have doctor's appointments and things come up, so takes you about an hour. It takes me about an hour to do it, so it's a good thing. Christmas in Bedford Falls, we've all gone to that. It's exciting. We've got a lot of new things again this year. Santa Claus is going to be at Nature Stone this year. Very excited about that, because that great big beautiful window showcases our beautiful square. So great picture opportunity there. It's going to be real exciting to have it there, because when people are in there, they can see Santa Claus in the window. So that's neat to have that venue. And Nature Stone is another one of our companies that does a lot for our city. Thanks to Russ and his family for always being so generous. I don't think, I asked him, I said, have you ever told me no? And he goes, no. Everything I've ever asked Russ at Nature Stone, he's always said yes. So that's very nice. He does a lot for our city. Something new this year that we're really excited about is the Dunham House is going to be open, and it's going to be a centennial Christmas. So there's characters there. It's a neat thing, something new. There's Christmas, children's Christmas crafts there from 1 to 2. Children's Christmas story will be read at 3 o'clock. So a lot of new things. A friend of mine, we have the Mad Mountain Juggler. You've seen him at the Celebration of Art. He's going to be walking around and doing some stuff. So that's new this year too. So make sure you come out, bundle up if it's cold. And Mike, I'm glad you touched on the leaves because I have a whole big pile right on my tree lawn. And it's like, no. The wind, that's the only thing, the wind has put some in the street. So now, we really didn't have much of a fall, but the trees didn't know that. I still have a couple of leaves on my dogwood, and it's just like, but yeah, Grand Boulevard, Dick said that he needed over there on his street too, so.
We'll get you in May. We're out.
All right, end of report, thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks to everybody, and the Small Business Saturday was nice. I went down and saw some merchants, and between Black Friday and Saturday shopping, they had a good start to the Christmas season, so hopefully that'll continue on this Saturday with the Christmas in Bedford Falls. So hope to see everybody there. Let's get this huge new business agenda. We'll wrap that up, and then we can get to the citizens. Resolution number 2530-18.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Tinkers Creek Watershed Partners, Inc. for stormwater discharge education and declaring an emergency.
And motion for suspension by Spinks, second by Fluharty. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Mizek? Yes. Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Saunders, second by Rhodes. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. This is, we partner with Tinkers Creek Watershed every year. We're actually, the city's required to obtain a permit from the EPA for General National Pollution Discharge and Elimination System. By entering into this agreement and working with TCWP, they help us in management of our stormwater runoff. This serves our purpose under our guidelines and under our requirements under the EPA. They've helped us with a handful of projects. Most recent project in 2017, I believe it was, over on Columbus Road, where we had a couple of homes demolished, where the city worked with the land bank. There were a couple of houses that were vacant. We had those torn down. Tinkers Creek Watershed came in, they cleared the area, they cleaned it, they planted, I think we planted upwards of 50 trees. There were a few council members that were there working with them. So they get involved in projects like that. Right now, there is some erosion of a stream, or actually erosion of a stream that runs through the entire city of Bedford. What they're looking to do, and these individuals have been out, the one girl in particular loves her job and she's an asset. They'll come out, they'll walk the area, they'll provide options for us if we have water runoff issues. The location that they're helping the city with now is addressing that erosion of the creek, because if it continues to erode, it could affect property owners. We're not there yet, but the goal is to address it before it gets there. These are expertise of these individuals, and if they can't help us directly, they put us in touch with the individuals that can and the organizations that can. Actually, John is reviewing a document now, a memo of understanding for a conservation easement, because we own some of that property along that creek, and by entering into an agreement with this other entity, they can come in and actually help with that conservation. So those are just a couple examples of the benefit of partnering with the Tinkers Creek Watershed. A lot of the communities around here that are in that area do so, and we would recommend passage of that.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Mizek?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Ordinance number 9659-18.
Amending ordinance number 9538-17, making additional appropriations for 2018 for the city and declaring an emergency.
Have a motion for suspension by Saunders, second by Rhodes. Call the roll.
Koji?
Yes.
Leeser?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Janutus, second by Spinks. And Frank?
Yeah, this ordinance is an amendment to this current year's budget. Largest items are the income tax refunds. We had a couple of major corporations pay in estimates during the year, and they don't settle up till October 15th. Once they settle up and show they had losses, they request their funds back, refunds. So that was substantial this year. Between two companies, $175,000 alone. So we got hit pretty hard this year with refunds, new tax laws that write off a lot more combining of losses and gains with corporations under the new tax laws of the state. At this point in time, anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 has already been lost this year in that profit. So substantial hits to us once again from the changes the state thought were revenue neutral, but they weren't. So at this point in time, we have that as part of the budget. We also had some advances. We had some, just in case we don't get our refunds in time and reimbursements, we have some NOPEC funds out there. Just in case, we're allowing for advancing of funds if the check doesn't come in before the end of the year. Same thing on some reimbursements for FEMA. Our firemen who went out to help in South Carolina, North Carolina, and also in Florida will be reimbursed. We're not sure how fast the funds will come in. Once again, we got a fund and advance funds just in case, and be prepared to do so just in case. A couple other items, our Sunoco storm improvement, $68,000 was approved to get that project done. And of course, tonight, allow the Eagles funds to be spent. We appropriate those funds for both police and fire, as well as the food bank donation is all part of tonight's ordinance to allow those to be spent from now and into the future. Ask council to approve that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Koji?
Yes.
Leeser?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
And now it's time for the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak, please come forward, state your name, address, and your comment. I can guess part of your comment. Huh?
Yes. Cosio Stewart, 93 Avalon. And though I realize the majority of these audience knows about Lights Out for Hunger, you videotape the meetings now. So that's great. Yes, that's why I'm coming. It's Wednesday, December 19th. We always do the third Wednesday of the month to try to be consistent year after year so that some family doesn't come down to the square and get disappointed because the lights are off. But a short version of it, 8 years ago, which is hard to believe, a local citizen came up with the idea. And she said if we all turned off our lights, our holiday lights, one day a year in the country, saved that money and donated it to your food bank, we could feed a lot of people. And that's what we do here in Bedford. The Meals on Wheels, which is fabulous, takes care of seniors. But this goes directly to the Southeast Clergy Hunger Center that helps anybody in need of any age in Bedford. 100% of your donation goes directly in. United Way and other people can't say that, so we're proud of that. We have a few donors that take care of stamps and a few administration costs. So any donation anybody makes is appreciated, and 100% of it goes in late January to the Hunger Center. And I say this every year, but it was really important. Everybody's very generous at Thanksgiving and Christmas time, but the reason that the two previous food banks, and this year it's just one food bank, get it at the end of January because February and July are the worst months to be a food bank. Because it's winter, people have their, Christmas bills coming in, you're nestled at home, and food banks really struggle in the month of February, and then I guess it's July because people are vacationing and we kind of forget that there are people that are hungry in our own city. So whether you can donate or not, you can support the program by simply turning off your lights, because it's a visual acknowledgement. I think especially to the children, because they're like, hey, how come everybody's lights off, or how come the square's off? And it's an opportunity for their parents to say, because this town cares enough to turn off that beautiful award-winning display, because we have people here that are hungry. So whether you can donate or not, please turn off your lights that night. And if you have any questions or you need a flyer, I have it in the back. The initial flyer that was mailed to all of you and about 50 businesses had an error. It was corrected. It was 100% myself, my fault. I apologize. We had both the food banks on there, and the one food bank does not exist anymore. But at least when we did it to the general public, it was corrected. So all donations go to the Southeast Clergy Hunger Center in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And it's the hope that this day would spread across the country. And so if you know people from out of the city or other areas, kind of tell them about this program, because all they have to do is give to their local food bank. They don't have to send it to an 800 number or some big thing. It goes local to each city. So if you give in your particular city, it stays right there and it goes to the local food bank. That's the beauty of this whole idea that this lady had, and I wish I knew who she was so I could thank her.
No, she will not. You're lucky you know it's a she. She will not let me reveal her name. But
Well,
we
and
did.
I respect that.
It was a senior, though. It was a senior who came up there. And we took it to Columbus to the governor, trying to get him to do statewide the third Wednesday of the month, be, Lights Out for Hunger. We didn't even kind of get to his desk, but we tried.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jeff Cooper, 134 Harriman. Frank, we get the water bills every month, and I was just wondering, every utility bill that I get has the prior month's amount on that, and the water bill does not. Is it possible to do that?
Ours doesn't, you said? Doesn't have, I don't know, I don't run it.
And also, on the one that the most current bill that we got has the new water and sewer rates on it. They said what they're going to be, but not what the old ones are for comparison purposes. I think it would have been good to have that on there where, you don't have to call to find out what the old rates are. The other thing, Mike, how many crews did they have out this year painting hydrants?
We had, actually it was just one crew. We had two college students
Okay.
do it this year.
And the reason I asked, I just wanted to say, they did a really good job on hydrants this year. I think the hydrant painting done this year was...
They did it it was two ladies. They did a really good job. We actually kind of razzed the gentleman who did it the year before because the women did way better than he did. And he didn't do a bad job, but when he was done, I mean, he had more red paint on him than you could imagine. But I will pass that along. We went before 2017. I think it was about 6 or 7 years before we had a hydrant painter. It was a while. It might have not been that long, but it was a while. And we just didn't, we didn't staff it. We were tight. It was, summer help. But we brought one individual in 2017. He really concentrated on the mains. And then we're slowly working through there. So there are still some areas that we know we still need to do, but we'll hopefully get caught up.
Well, like I say, I think they did a really good job.
Pass that along.
The last thing that I want to say, with all the recognition for Lights Out for Hunger, and if you're going to be turning the lights off on the square, it might be a good idea to put a sign down there indicating why the lights are not on, especially if somebody reads one of the magazines and says, oh, I want to go down to Bedford and see this great lighting display that they have, and they get there and there's no lights. But don't put up a lighted sign.
That's all I got. Thank you. Good idea. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I think I've spoken with you, and I've also spoken with...
Yeah, excuse me, before you start, we have name and address, please.
Yes, I'm sorry. Kimberly King Chapman. I'm located at 5 Satin Circle. I think I spoke with you in reference to dog my neighbor's dog attacked my son, and during the attack, he fell and he came in the house very bloody, and I was explaining to you about the situation. Well, the police officer came, and the police officer stated that the neighbor would only get a warning. The thing about it was, I had asked about the fencing and other issues that had already occurred before the attack, and really didn't get a clear-cut answer about that. They also, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of notes with me. It states here on the website that if the dog issues occur, and I also spoke with the dog warden that stated any injuries that occur, even if it's not a dog bite, are supposed to be cited because the dog came on my property during that attack, and so I was told that was supposed to be cited. However, the dog warden said that he could not go over what the police officer had already done, which to me is one person didn't do their job and now a second person is not doing their job. That doesn't make any sense to me. However, after that, I had also explained to them that the dog had used the bathroom in my yard and nothing was done about it. So I asked them if it was possible for them to address the pet owner, because it says here in the website that any dog owner is supposed to be responsible for cleaning up, even if they were at a park. They are responsible to clean up behind their pet. I was told by Mr. Sutz that there had to be an eyewitness. Well, the neighbors already admitted that the dog was loose that night during the attack. So I don't know what kind of eyewitness he's looking for. But I'm trying to figure out, because it's kind of inconsistent to what the website is saying. It also was stating that the dog is supposed to be under a 6 feet fence. And I explained that the dog looks like he can jump the fence. This fence is not even 6 feet. I'm 5'4", so I know that this fence is not 6 feet. So I'm trying to figure this out, why the dog warden is not kind of going by what is said in the website. Also, there's no dog registration for any of the dogs per the dog warden. There's also a limit of 2 dogs per household. There are 3 dogs in the household. There are, I don't know if they even mention anything about the dog owner is supposed to have liability insurance in reference to any kind of dangerous dogs. They're supposed to be having that squared away. There was nothing said about that also. Excuse me. And so basically I'm just trying to get this cleared up because, like I said before, it's becoming a dangerous situation. I even have footage where the dog owner had his dogs out as of yesterday with no leash on, right back in the front yard, roaming around. So I don't know if I can send the footage to, I can send the footage to you? Okay, because I'm assuming that the dog owner, since they were so lenient with him, that he's not caring, because the dogs were just roaming around just yesterday. And so these dogs are a danger, not only to my son who got attacked, who is autistic, but also to the neighbors' children as well. So you said that I can send that footage to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did talk to the police chief about it after we spoke, and he had talked to the deputy chief Sutz, and the dog warden was correct. He couldn't cite after the police didn't, because he's under the police department. The fence and the liability is only if the dog is deemed to be vicious, and it has to go to our animal court
Control board.
to get that designation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why fence height doesn't, I don't wanna say it doesn't matter, but why it's not a 6-foot fence if you got a normal dog. The officer that went to the house at the time spoke with the neighbor. The neighbor was very apologetic and cooperated with the officer. He didn't try to deny that the dog, when he said, yeah, I did all it. And at that particular time, the officer felt the sincerity of the guy. That's why he gave him a warning and not a ticket. The chief said, looking at it later, he probably should have, but the deed was done that he didn't get one. He just got a severe warning that if there was anything else, they would be back to cite him. So that's why that happened. As far as the dog defecating on the lawn, he said if you can get take your phone and take a picture when the dog's doing it, that will suffice. The same as an eyewitness from the police. He said the reason they can't just take anybody's word for it, and it's nothing against you or anybody's word, but they don't know if it was that dog, somebody walking their dog that did it. That's why they need some kind of visual proof, and why the police have to see it. It's all kind of complicated, but.
So they need further proof besides the owner admitting that the dogs were loose?
No.
Because the owner admitted that the dogs were loose that night.
Yes.
So what
No,
other?
I'm talking about the defecation part. You need either an eyewitness from the police, driving by and see it happen, or if you can capture it on your cell phone, and that will suffice as video evidence.
No disrespect, but how many people actually catch a dog devastating in their
Quite a
yard?
few, quite a few. As soon as they see people, if they know it's a problem, there's people sitting there with their phones and they just.
There's no other dogs on the street besides these dogs.
Again, without seeing it, they don't know whose dog it was. And it's not that they're not believing that they did it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're pretty sure that was it, but being sure and absolutely seeing it are two different things.
Okay,
So
and
that's why that's what the chief explained to me.
so you're stating that the dogs are not considered, they're not labeled yet, but they attacked my son and he came in the house bloody, and it says in the website that any dangerous dogs are dangerous if they are attacked with being provoked, and they were not being provoked. My son was taking the garbage out.
Right.
So they should be labeled as a dangerous dog, and they should be under the 6 feet rule for them to be.
Right. Once they're deemed so by the Animal Control Board, and maybe you can explain that a
Yeah,
little bit.
I can, if you, one, send me that video, I can give you my card and send me a video regarding them being loose and whatnot, and I'll share that and talk with the PD and follow up with you on that. And I do need to check in a little bit as far as the process with animal control and getting in front of that, but it involves, there's residents, I sit in on that meeting, and then we actually bring in a vet. I participated in 2 separate meetings. One, I walked right in, the dog was sitting right there, came up, sat by your leg, you're petting it, no harm, no foul. I also went in there and opened the door, and there was a guy holding a dog back that was bigger than me, and I shut the door and I said, well, this is going to be a pretty easy determination. And not to make light of it, it's the vet will actually, I don't want to say, that vet will interact with the dog, pet the dog, be close to the dog, touch its stomach, and see how the dog reacts, and then the vet will actually give his opinion to the board as far as if, under his opinion, should that dog be deemed vicious, should the dog not be deemed vicious. I've seen it go 2 different ways. Once it is deemed by that vet and the board, then there's those restrictions that would have to go in place, which I believe the 6-foot fence. It sounds like this individual hasn't been in front of that board yet. I'll look in front of what constitutes getting that individual back in the board, or in front of that board, and I can follow up when I reach out to you, following getting me that information.
Right, and also the dog warden stated that they didn't have any registration for 3 dogs that are over there, so isn't that a violation of the ordinance?
Yeah, I understand one was a puppy.
No, I have footage, and you can see this dog. He doesn't look like a puppy at
No,
all.
I'm just saying what the, they told me one was.
Yeah, I was told that also, and I'm looking at the footage. He's not a puppy. So,
Okay, yes, Paula.
I'm your neighbor. I sent you back the email in regards to the information about the vicious and the dog leash and the act, you know, about the dog. I was not aware of this. I saw a gentleman in the garage yesterday afternoon.
with the dogs out.
And the 2 dogs, one was by his leg and the other one was there. But when we came in this evening, I saw the chief and I asked him, and I didn't realize you were here. I says, what are we gonna do with this dog situation? He says, well, one of them's a pup. I said, well, you should have seen what was in the garage yesterday.
It's not a pup.
They were not leashed, but on our street, we have the lady at the corner after my home has one of those invisible fences. She has 2 golden retrievers. So that's 2 dogs there. Directly across the street is a 3rd dog, which they keep in their yard. But sometimes you hear it howl and you feel bad for it. We do have more than 1 dog on our street. I do have a pickup poop sign, and that's no reflection or in, you know, saying that, you know, you should do. You can put it in your yard if you wish. Maybe that's a good hint. I don't know. But I know our gentleman here and the mayor and them are taking the extra step to do the right thing for you. And as far as this dog board, we've had it in effect for about 10 to 12 years at least, because I was here when the first doctor determined if a dog was vicious or not. And I remember when Mike asked the person that had this dog to leave because he was very vicious. But I do know well, I don't know neither. I didn't meet him yet. And I don't know the gentleman that is in 7 and 11. But I did see the 2 dogs yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not little.
They're not little,
That's
and
what
they
I
did
told
not have
you.
any leashes on. And for him to do that just 2 weeks later
Yeah.
shows that he's still
He's taking
neglectful.
advantage of things, I believe.
And the city manager will look into it further for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And I
so,
know the chief told me that the deputy chief was in touch with you, so I didn't heard anymore, so I thought that was it, so. That's okay, we'll follow up with that.
okay.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah. I'm right down the street. I'm at 41.
Anyone else? Seeing none, and a motion for adjournment. Mezak, second by Rhodes. Call the roll, please.
Cochi?
Yes.
Mezak?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Thank you all so much.